A warm welcome to all the students. In this lecture, we shall continue our discussion with the graphics programming using AWT. In the previous lecture, we have seen different methods that can be used in order to draw different graphical figures or shapes onto the applet. Lastly, we had seen how to draw a line chart on the applet, and we will continue our discussion. Today we shall see how we can draw bar charts or bar graphs onto the applet. Now this is a small problem that I have taken. Table below shows the annual turnover of a company during the period 1991 to 94. Now these values may be placed in HTML file as param attributes, and then they may be used in the applet for displaying the bar chart. Okay, so this is basically the table that I am talking about. Year 1991 turnover was 110 crore rupees, 92 150 crore rupees, 93 100 crore rupees, and 94 170 crore rupees. Now to write this program, what we'll have to do is we'll have to write two files. In the HTML file that we have, barchart.html, we will have to specify the param text, and since there are 4 parameters 1 2 3 4, I have specified the first param name equal to columns. How many columns? Value is 4. That means there is a variable called as columns whose value is 4. This I am passing to the applet code. Then each of these years, first I am passing each of these turnover values, these values. So you can see C1, I have created a variable called as C1. I am passing the first value, that is 110. Then I am creating another variable C2 and I am passing 150. Third variable C3, passing the value 100, and fourth variable C4, I am passing the value 170. So I have created 4 parameters C1, C2, C3, C4, and each contains each of these values, and these are passed through the param text. Also the year values, the labels, this is basically the label. So labels, we can also specify labels using the param tag. I have specified label as label 1, whose value is 91, which depicts 1991. Label 2, whose value is 92, that depicts 1992. Label 3, value is 93, depicts 1993, and label 4, whose value is 94, depicts 1994. So these are the different parameters that we pass from the HTML page. Now once we come to the applet, here what we do is basically we need to store the year. That means we need to store these labels. These are the labels and these are the values of the labels. So we declare an array called as label array. So this array will store all the labels. Another array called as value array, which will store all the values. Besides, I am just using a variable n, which is initialized to 0. Now in the init method, I am now supposed to fetch the data from the HTML page. So I am using an exception handling here. Try block is written, and I am trying to catch number format exception here. Now what exactly I am doing is I am using get parameter. I am taking this columns value, the answer will be 4. Then that value will be converted to integer and stored in n, which is integer value. So n stores how many number of columns are there. Then I am initializing now the object. So I have just declared a string array called as label, right? String array called as label. Now I am actually creating an object array of type string whose length is n, because 4 values have to be stored. So length is n. Then I am also creating an object of type integer array value equal to new int n. Now why n? Because n is the size of the column. So that means there are 4 values. So 4 label values will be added, 4 values will be added, turnover values will be added. Then label 0, using get parameter method, label 0 has been set to label 1. Whatever is the value of label 1. So 91 will be set in place of label 0. Label 1, get parameter will get the value for label 2. Label 2, its value is 92, so that's how label 1 will store 92. Label 2 get parameter method will fetch the value of label 3. Label 3's value is 93, so get parameter will store 93 into, and so on, right? So this is how the label array is populated with the label values, that is 91, 92, 93 and 94. In the similar way, value array, okay, which is integer array, is also using get parameter. It is populated with the values of C1, C2, C3, C4 respectively, which are 110, 150, 100 and 170, right? Now at this point over here, all the labels are populated in the label array, and all the values of the turnover are populated into the value array. Okay, so this is a try block. If there is an exception, catch will handle it. Now paint method is called, and n number of iterations, because we have to draw a bar graph. So for every iteration, one rectangle will be drawn. Each rectangle will represent a bar of the graph. So first of all, I am setting the color to red, then draw string. Now for I equal to 0, say I is 0 and 0 is less than 4. Why? Because the total number of column is 4. So 0 is less than 4, true. So it comes here, it sets the color to red. Then g dot draw string. Okay, I am printing label I or label 0. What is label 0? Label 0 will print 91. So 91 will be printed. Okay. Now we have to specify the x and y, that's a coordinate value for this string to be printed. Okay, where 91 should be printed. So 20 is the x position and y position is I into 50 plus 30. Now I is 0, so at 20, 30, 91 will be printed. And after printing the label, now I want the rectangle to be drawn. So I will say g dot fill rectangle at 50, horizontal position 50, comma, vertical position will be I into 50 plus 10. Okay, so I is 0, so 10. So 50 at 50, 10 starting location, rectangle will be printed. The length of the rectangle is nothing but the value. Okay, 110 is the value, so length of the rectangle will be the value. Okay, and 40 is the height of the rectangle. So as for every iteration, this length of the rectangle or the width of the rectangle, the width of the rectangle will change, and every time it will take, first time the width of the rectangle will be 110, second time it will be 150, third time it will be 100, fourth time it will be 170. However, the height of the rectangle will remain same, and that's how different bars can be drawn. Okay, so this is how a bar chart can be drawn. Now we will just see an example. Okay, so I'll create a new file. Okay, I will save this file as bar chart .html, which will have the HTML text. Okay, now what will be this bar chart.html? So let's write HTML closing tag. Okay, then the input values are to be given in this particular HTML code. So I will not write a body head, I will directly say applet code equal to, you say bar chart dot class, which is yet to be generated. Width of the applet, let's say it is 300, and height of the applet, let's say it is say 250. Okay, now I'm adding the first parameter. I'll say param name equal to, the variable name is columns, which will store total number of columns, and value is, there are 4 columns, so value is 4, right? Now we will put the values of each of the turnover, yearly turnovers. So we will declare 4 variables, C1, C2, C3, C4, and the turnover values will be stored in that. So I'll say param name equal to C1, value equal to, the first value is already, we are taking the same value, say 110. Okay, so I will just to not waste time, I'll just copy and paste the same lines, and then we'll edit 2, 3 and 4. So basically we have 4 values that are given. First variable name will be C1, second is C2, third is C3 and fourth one is C4. Similarly, the first value is 110, second value is 150, third value is 100 and fourth value happens to be 170, right? So this is how the values, the turnover values have been inputted. Now we will also specify the label values, so I'll just copy the same code. Okay, so name here I'll say label 1, this will be label 2, okay, this will be label 3 and this will be label 4. So these are the label values. Okay, the value of the label is, the first one is 1991, so I'll just say 91, second is 1992, third value is 1993 and fourth value is 1994. Okay, so we have these 4 values. So I'll close the applet, and in this manner I have inserted total number of columns, then the turnover values, 4 such values were given to me in table and the corresponding label values, right? I will save this file. Now I'll also create a Java code. So we'll now compile this particular code. One small change is I forgot to put a for loop over here, because this rectangles have to be drawn these many number of times, 0 number of time, 1 and 2 number of times. So total 2 and 3 number of time, total number of columns is 4. Okay, so I've included that for loop here, and now let us execute the code. Let us compile the code. So I will say Java C and say bar chart dot Java. Okay, so as you can see here, you can see dot class file being created. Okay, dot class file being created, and this is your HTML file called as bar chart. Okay, so I'll again open it. Okay, this is that HTML file. So bar chart.class is the file that is specified. So I'll just say save, and now I will say applet viewer. Okay, bar chart.html, and this is the bar chart that gets displayed. So as I was just talking about, see here, for every iteration the color will be set to red. The first string will appear at label I with the label I. What is label I? Label I will be 91. You have seen already. So 91 gets printed. Okay, and then fill rectangle will create this rectangle 50 comma I into 50 plus 10. So initially at 50 comma 10, that is this point. Okay, rectangle will be drawn. And what's the size of the rectangle? Okay, the size of the rectangle, the width will be value of I. So width will be that, what is the turnover value, that will be width. So it is this much. And you see the height of all rectangles is standard 40. but what will change is the width. So looking at this bar graph, it is very clear that in 1992 compared to 91 and 93, that was a better turnover, whereas in 1994 it's the highest turnover, that is 170, right? So this is how you can come up with a bar chart. Next, we can also use, we have already used, there is another example of how we can use loops in applets. Okay, now this is a simple applet that we have. Okay, this applet will print this these stars, n number of stars it is going to print. So for that, in the paint method, I am using a for loop. I want to print this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I want to print this 5 number of times. So for I equal to 0 to I equal to 4. So when I is 0, it checks is 0 mod 2 is equal to 0. If yes, it is going to draw oval here. Otherwise, it is going to fill oval. So you can see some ovals are hollow, some ovals are dark, right? So we will see how to come up with this code. So I create a new project. Yes, and in the source file here I create a new applet. Yes, I use another import statement. I say import java dot awt dot star. Okay, now init method I need not write anything. I will just write the code for the paint method. So I'll write paint method here. So public void paint takes object of type graphics G, and then okay, I'll write the code. Now I want the circle to be printed exactly 5 number of times. So for int I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 4. So from 0 to 4, total 5 number of times I plus plus. Now these many number of times I want those circles to be printed. Yes, now the circles are equidistant. So I am just doing this if say I mod of 2. Okay, if I mod of 2 is equal to say 0, okay, that means if the value of I is odd, then if the value of I is even, then I will draw oval, otherwise I will fill oval. So G dot draw oval. Okay, draw oval with 4 values. So first value, let's say x value is 120. Now for y value I am using a formula. It is I into 60 plus 10. Okay, this is 50 and this is 50. So notice that for every iteration, the moment I mod 2 is 0, it will draw oval. Okay, the x point will be same 120, but the y point will be every time the value of I into 60 plus 10. So every time 10 will be incremented and 60 will be multiplied. Simply we have taken this formula so that we can draw equidistant circles of those many number of times. Okay, so if I mod 2 is 0, then we are going to draw oval. Else I say okay, G dot fill oval. Okay, and we will fill oval. Again, oval should be also printed at the same. So 120. Here also the same value. I. Okay, we'll say I into 60 plus 10. Okay, so this value is also same. Okay, the formula will be same, and this is 50 and this is also 50. Only difference is for odd number we will fill that oval with some color, and for even number we will have hollow circles. Now fill with what color? So I will just specify g dot set color. Okay, and let's say color is dot red. Right, I save this code. Okay, and let's run and see. Okay, so these are the circles that are created. Okay, now you can see here that apart from the first, rest every circle is filled with red color, and that is because I think in the else part I said g dot set color red. Okay, so what we will do is we'll put this in brackets. Whatever I wrote for else part, we will put that in compound blocks. Yes. So only for odd number, those circles will be filled with color. Otherwise, no. Okay, I'll save and I will run the file. Yes. Now it correctly shows the output. So you see, this is the first for I equal to 0. Now 0 is even number. So for I equal to 0, it will draw an oval, which is hollow oval. Okay, and it will not go to the else part. But when I is incremented, when I becomes 1, 1 mod 2 is not equal to 0. It's an odd number, right? So it goes to the else part, sets the color to red, and will fill the oval. Okay. Now I have mentioned that the circle that is drawn, it is drawn equidistantly in a vertical manner, right? So this is how we can use loops, okay, in the applets. Also, there are ways how we can set fonts. So in applets, there is a basically there is a class called a java.awt.font class, and this font class has inbuilt methods which can help you to set different fonts. Now whenever we talk about fonts they contain three parts. One, the family name, font family name. Second is a logical font name, and third is a face name, right? These are the methods which are available for us for fonts. For example, decode is a method that returns font object by the name. Equals is a method that returns true if the calling font object is equal to the pass font object. Get family returns the font family name. Get font returns the font associated with the system property. Get font name, it returns the font name of the calling font object. Get name, it returns logical font name of the calling font object. Get size returns the size of the font in points. Get style returns the style values of the font. Hash code returns the hash code of the calling font object. Now is bold, it returns true if the calling font include bold style value. Is italic returns true if the calling font includes italic style value. Is plain, it returns true if the calling font includes plain style value. And toString, it returns a string equivalent of calling font object. So these are all the different methods which are available. I would advise the students to use these methods and see for yourself how we can make use of fonts. Of course, as we proceed later on with AWT, we are going to use these fonts. So that is it for today's lecture. Thank you.